And welcome into the Monday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home with the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everybody had a marvelous Christmas, a great weekend, and we are back at it today on this Monday morning. Joe Rexrode, how we doing? What's going on?
Well, happy Monday. We're doing okay. I'd like to say congratulations to Ian Safar, even though I guess it's possible that Kirk Cousins gets me 60 points tonight as my fill-in quarterback. It looks like Ian is going to be the champion of the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy League. I would also like to brag and say that I am up 3 with Puka Nacua and about to win my athletic league. So very blessed to be in both championship games. And I'd like to congratulate Robby because I think you might have a perfect week in Pigskin Pick'em and be burying us this week. So we all have things to celebrate.
We'll see how it goes. It's been a good week so far on the Pigskin Pick'em front. Still to go is the Music City Bowl going tomorrow. But I took Illinois in that game, so we'll see how it goes. Going against my Vols.
Yes, you did. You deserve to lose a game because you picked Illinois.
Well, I agree.
Let's hope you do.
I hope I'm wrong on that front. I really do. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. It was a great week for spending time with the fam. Hope everybody got everything they wanted from Santa, all that kind of good stuff. Nice to get away for a few days.
Yep.
Nothing like bringing back on a Monday with a 40-degree temperature drop.
Yeah, that was
out
fun.
there overnight. So it's a little cool and windy out there this morning, but hope everybody had a great holiday and welcome back everybody. And thanks so much.
I looked at my thermometer yesterday. We were out on the swing set yesterday. I was like, oh, it's 75 degrees. That's awesome. I looked at it this morning walking out. I was like, oh, it's 29 degrees. That sucks. What a big swing that is in less than 24 hours. Just beautiful stuff.
Great. Look forward to because I was, in Florida, like, oh, wow, this is amazing. It's 80. But then I was like, oh, gee, it's still like 73 in Nashville. It's not like it's even that big of a, difference. And now, oh, sweet. Tomorrow, high at 36. Beautiful.
So it's your fault. You're bringing it back.
I guess.
That's
the ice witch.
That's right. We got a lot going on the program today. Corey Curtis from News 2 with us for his weekly visit coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll have the Rob rant a little bit later in the show as well. All that ahead. Joe, all the Titans do now play exciting football games. They lose 34-26 yesterday to the Saints in a game that I thought for the majority of it that they were going to win. They played well at times in the game. Cam Ward made some spectacular plays, made some plays that were not so great. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But New Orleans wins 34-26. Apparently, you cannot stop Tyler Shuck and the New Orleans Saints right now, who are doing nothing but winning games. It was a very entertaining game yesterday for the Titans and the Saints. Your overall thoughts on how things shook out in the home finale for the Tennessee Titans at Nissan Stadium?
Yeah, another tough one in the pick'em front for me. I was like, riding the Titans train's looking pretty good. They were in control. I mean, if you don't have the ridiculous Chase Young, just let me rip that ball out of your hand and I'm just going to carry it one-handed into the end zone. Play. I mean, the Titans really dominated a lot of that game. And then it's like at the, Shuck, it looked good. I mean, he really got cooking and had a heck of a day. You kind of were reminded at times yesterday of how deficient in some spots the Titans are on defense.
Yep.
Especially with some of that tackling in the back end. So and so that sort of finally came back to bite them. Like you said, at least it was an entertaining game. They are scoring points. They're moving the ball. They're making plays. You're still losing right there to another bad team. So that was to me, their chance obviously to have back-to-back wins at home. And they're probably looking at no more wins this year because they're playing a really good Jacksonville team on the road. I know obviously they're going to try to go spoil that. You never know in this league. I was shocked that the Colts hung with the Jags like they did yesterday. Another great pick 'em moment for me. But it was a tough loss for a team that I actually thought looked like the better team for a lot of the day. But a couple huge plays can change a game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, some plays that you thought were there to be made. And look, even, they had a play in the fourth quarter, Joe, where, I forget who it was for the Saints who caught the ball, but he broke like 1,000 tackles. I think it was Pettis. Broke like 1,000 tackles. It's like, wow, he's just going to march right in the end zone. And then he fumbles it and you recover it in the end zone. It's like, okay, well, there's your chance to go back down the field. And they didn't do anything with that. And then the Saints came back down and scored another touchdown in that game. So just a couple of key plays that you just weren't able to make in the game. Jeffrey Simmons talked about that after the game yesterday and said, man, how'd we let this one get away? Here's what Jeffrey Simmons had to say after the game.
Opportunity to put a team out, take the life out of the team, you have to do it. Like, that's something we didn't do in the second half, and we talked about it at halftime. Go finish the game, and we didn't do that. So, yes, it's frustrating, and the question is that when you're walking out the field after the game, it's just like, how in the heck did we let that one slip away? And like I said, just go back to doing basic fundamental of the game of football is everyone doing their job and just get the guy on the ground.
Everyone doing their job, get the guy on the ground, and the Titans could not do that often enough yesterday on the defensive side of the ball. Now, Jeffrey Simmons did have another sack yesterday, Joe, so that brings him up to 10 on the season. So he reaches the double-digit sack plateau in the season for the first time this year. And, there are people all around the league now, Joe, that are kind of looking at what he's done and the numbers that he's putting up. And really, if you really dig into it, there's really no reason that he shouldn't be first-team All-Pro.
No question. No, he's been great, and he continues to play great. Didn't make any big mistakes yesterday, which is the only thing that's really the only knock on him this year. But again, you got to have more than that, and so they get outgained by more than 100. So it was 184 to 92 Titans in the first half. And so you're talking about, more than 300 yards of total offense that they allowed to the Saints in the second. But basically in the second half, once the Saints got going, I mean, they were completely unstoppable, which was so different because in the first half they couldn't tie their shoes for most of the time. So I suppose this could be deemed one of the halftime adjustments
maybe
situations, but once they got it rolling on offense, the Titans kind of looked just incapable of doing anything about it.
Well, again, I mean, look, Joe, there are people running around the secondary yesterday where I'm just like, who is that? I have no idea who that is. I mean, Tyler Shuck, 22 of 27 for 333 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a quarterback rating of 142.7. Look, the Saints, we'll see, may have found a franchise quarterback in the second round. We'll see. He's looked pretty good, not just yesterday, but recently. Like, Shuck has looked pretty good for them. And, Kellen Moore doing a good job here to close out. And I mentioned it, like the Saints they're winning games. So, I mean, there's on one hand, yes, you look at your opponent and the way that they've been playing and what they've been able to do, and you certainly give credit to that. I mean, the Saints have won at this point. What is that, 5 in a row? That is, let's see,
I think
4 in a row. So they've won 4 in a row. They've won, 5 out of their last 7. So a team that was just as bad as you and in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick at the halfway point of the season has found some things here in the second half of the year, and they're winning some games. So there is that you have to point out. But like I said, Joe, I mean, there are people running around the secondary for the Titans yesterday that I've literally never heard of in my life. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know how much of a chance you're going to have on the defensive side of the ball when that's the case in the NFL.
Right. And it's disappointing that Estime, ends up 14 for 94, 6-7 a carry. He ripped off that 32-yarder after, again, the guy couldn't find a yard in the first half. It seemed like this is, I think, a reminder of, even though it's late in the season, injuries and on, it is a reminder of, like, the Titans may be fine at safety next year, but Mike, they have so much work to do at corner. As we know this, we know what all that has gone on. But yesterday, I think, was a reminder, you have to rebuild that entire group, and that's just, again, I just think you've made so much work for yourself there where, you didn't necessarily need to have that much rebuilding to do. And when you have everything else going on, I think that's a little bit troubling at this point.
Yep, I would agree with that. Also, congratulations to Tony Pollard for cracking the $1,000 yard mark again. That is now the 4th consecutive season that he has done that. Joe, I saw a stat yesterday. I guess I need to verify this to make sure it's accurate, but I think it is that the only running backs in the NFL to have more than 1,000 yards 4 years in a row, the last 4 years, is Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard. So there's that.
Yeah, the broadcast said that, so I'll take that as fact. That's quite a stat.
Titans legends.
That's right.
Titans legends, and we'll get into Derrick Henry a little bit later in the show because, my God, a lot of conversation about that over the weekend as well. We are off and running on Robby and Rexrode. Saints win 34-26 against the Titans. The Titans fall to 3-13 on the season. There is one game left, and we will get into Cam Ward's day and his performance coming up next. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Titans lose 34-26 yesterday to New Orleans. Cam Ward, 21 of 40 on the day, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 4 times in the game. Quarterback rating of 88.6. The 4 sacks, and I believe the 8 quarterback hits that the New Orleans was credited with, is an interesting stat because we'll get into a stat that goes along with that a little bit later in the show that is kind of mind-boggling when you look at what took place yesterday. But, Joe, let's just start with the performance of Ward. I mean, things are going pretty well at halftime, not only for the Titans as a whole, but for Ward in general. I think he was like 11 of 15 at the half, and he had thrown a couple of touchdown passes. And Titans were leading 20-10 at halftime, and everything was looking good. And then you get outscored 24-6 in the second half. There were some absolutely spectacular plays that he made in the game, including one where the knee was down, but it was just an unbelievable play on that 4th down. He had the 3rd and 9 where he scrambled and ran around all over the place, cut back through the middle, and found Io Manor for the throw while he's on the run, and he's got all sorts of pressure around him. I mean, he made some incredible plays in this game. And then, Joe, you mentioned the play by Chase Young, which I don't know that I've ever seen a strip sack quite like that gets returned for a touchdown. You have probably a couple more balls that Cam Ward threw in the game, Joe, that probably should have been intercepted that were not. So on the whole, what did you make of Cam Ward's day as the Titans fell yesterday to the Saints?
Yeah, it's a tough one to assess because I agree. I think he may have had as many whoa plays in this game as he's had in one game, but then he also had too many misses, or like you said, kind of misfires that could have gone badly. I'm looking at the possession here, and it's like, it's field goal touchdown, the fumble touchdown. So they scored on 4 out of 5 drives. The only exception being the strip sack drive. And the second half, it's just like, you got 25-yard drive, you got 5 plays, 16, a 3 and out. You have the drive that ends on downs, but I mean, it just completely flip-flop. Then you go to the other side, and New Orleans is touchdown, field goal, the fumble you mentioned, touchdown, yep. And then at the end a punt, to give the Titans one more chance. So game totally flipped for Cam. I see there was something on the text, and I guess it was from earlier, but saying, okay, who would you rather have after watching that game? Tyler Shuck or Cam Ward. I mean, right now I think Shuck is playing better than him, playing better than Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Does that mean I would take him over Cam Ward? I mean, not necessarily, but it's like there's the wow plays are always like, oh man, like how many people could do that? And there's value in that, but you still want to see more consistency. So, I mean, I think overall it was an okay game for him, maybe pretty good, but still, like, you got to clean up some of that stuff. And it does count against, the whole thing. And it does take away some of the wow factor of those plays, because when it comes down to it, it's about consistency. And like Shuck right now, I think is a more consistent player.
Yeah, I mean, the direct comparison with the opposing quarterback stuff to me is just so hard right now because of, the Titans are trotting out me, you, and Adam from Portland in the secondary at the moment. And it's just, it's just not it's a really difficult thing to really process, I guess, at that point. Look, the one thing I'll say about Cam Ward, we talked about his ability to extend and escape and how that has served him very well to this point in his career. Like, I guess I've seen enough from Cam Ward to know at this point, Joe, that he has the ability to just make some truly spectacular plays. And it does make you wonder, like, if he gets some help at receiver and, they continue to bolster the offensive line by the guys that they have just playing better next year, and there's just a better roster around him. How many of these explosive type of plays is he going to be able to make just by extending the play and breaking the pocket and finding people that are open down the field? I mean, he's making these plays right now with Alec Io Manor and Van Jefferson, prior to the injury that he had yesterday, trying to run around and get open out there. So if you can get some actual talent in here, what does that look like from Cam Ward? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, Joe, kind of what we've been talking about all year of, yes, like all those plays that he made yesterday, I would agree. Spectacular, probably the most amount of wow plays, as you put it, that he's had in a single game. And then there are a few throws that he has where it's just like, buddy, what are you doing there? Like, he either just misses or, again, like I thought a couple of balls yesterday. I mean, Alontae Taylor probably could have had 2 or 3 picks by himself yesterday. So that part of it is still, I think, a huge work in progress of just the everyday throws that you need your starting quarterback to make in the NFL. But, I mean, look, he made like 3 or 4 plays yesterday, Joe, that when you package together the highlight clips and send it around the league, people around the league were talking about it. I was like, wow, look at what Cam Ward is doing out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to minimize plays like that. The late one, which of course ends up the knee on the ground on replay. I mean, that was
unbelievable.
A hell of a play. Yeah. That was a great play. I mean, look, there's a ton of value in being able to, do those things without question. But it's the same sort of lack of consistency with, I think, again, sometimes mechanics, sometimes decisions that it just needs a lot of work. So I guess it's like, would you rather have someone, I think if you, again, the Shuck Ward, like you said, it's tough. I mean, who knows? Either of those careers right now could go in who knows?
Yeah.
In totally different directions. But like, I guess it's like, would you rather have someone who right now seems to have, a pretty solid base of like accuracy and the ball's out fast and things like that, the way especially Shuck played in the second half, or someone who can do some things that most people can't do, but then struggles with some of the bread and butter stuff. I mean, I probably would go with the player who can do the spectacular at this point, but there's still no guarantee that you're going to have enough of the other stuff on a regular basis to make it matter, because there are other players who have been able to do spectacular things, but just who aren't consistent enough to play that position in this league at a high level.
I also almost forgot that Tyler Shuck's going to be 27 years old next September, which is just absolutely absurd for the second-year quarterback.
Chris Wanke.
Yeah.
We'll see. Probably see more of that.
Probably will.
Forward.
Probably will. Let's head back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning, buddy. How we doing?
Yeah, how y'all doing? What's up, Joe?
What's up, Mark? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, y'all have a good Christmas, Robby?
Yes,
Joe?
sir. Real good.
Oh, okay then. Well, y'all said some things I was going to say. Chuck is an older guy, but, I mean, you got to look at it, Joe. Look, he's in a better situation right now. I mean, Kellen Moore is a quarterback guru. He's a offensive whiz. He really worked on Chuck in his game, and that's why you see the results that you're getting from him. But I'm like you, Joe. I'm still going to take Cam because I think Cam's going to have a better overall career. Chuck is a little older than Cam. Well, probably 3-4 years older, maybe.
Yeah, 3 years.
But yeah, 3 years. So I'm going to stick with Cam all the way. But Robby, I'm going to tell you the quarterback that impressed me this weekend. I know you're going to probably be a little shocked at it, but it was your guy, Malik Willis, up there in Green Bay. He played hurt, but Robby, 18 to 21, 288, had 60 yards rushing. Robby, he looks like a different guy when you look at him throwing the football. He looks like a starter. I'm not saying he could be one, but he looks like a starter. They really don't lose much when Love has been hurt with Malik. I mean, Matt LaFleur, I know, Robby, you're not a big fan of Matt LaFleur right now, but you got to give him credit. He's really turned that guy's career around. He really was a one-read quarterback coming out of that Hugh Freeze offense and stuff. And Matt LaFleur turned him into a good pro quarterback, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue against that. Like, you got to give him credit. Now, it'll be nice that LaFleur can put that on his resume when he's looking for another job this offseason. But, but I'm glad that he's done well with Malik.
Yeah, he's done an excellent job with Malik. Hey, Joe, I'm still waiting on my Christmas gift, man. I ain't forgot it, Joe. You must have thought I was joking with you that day, man. I need a coat, Joe.
Hey, the
Starter, whatever.
Carhartt's in the mail, man. The
Well,
Carhartt's
we
in
had
the mail.
to make sure he knew what Carhartt was, because at the when you started talking about it, Mark, he had no clue what Carhartt was. So it was an educational process to get him there.
I got a whole wardrobe now of Carhartt.
Joe, I heard him ripping you that day, man. I didn't mean to set you up for the fall like that, but I thought you knew what a Carhartt was, man. But hey, man, if I don't get to talk to you and Robby again for New Year's, y'all have a good New Year and stuff. A lot of good football coming on. And Joe, I might have to send you my recipe one day for chitlin casserole, man. So
boy.
Y'all have a good y'all have a good New Year, Robby.
Same to you, Mark.
You later, man. All right, see y'all, man. See you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Happy New Year.
Never know where it's going to go.
That casserole.
Mark, I like it. Get the casserole in there. Carhartt in the mail. We
I'll
are going to get into
casserole.
By the way, we will get
Carhartt.
into Malik Willis a little bit later in the show, because good grief, I think he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
He was phenomenal.
He was. So we will get into that a little bit later in the show. I got more of your thoughts on the Cam Ward front to get into. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Titans lose 34-26 to the Saints yesterday. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game.
They line up quickly. Spears is the running back. Play action. Ward He's got a wide open Okonkwo. Chigo Okonkwo inside the 20, stays on his feet. Okonkwo, wow! Touchdown! What a play!
Andrew getting jiggy with it. I absolutely love that. He comes from that right side of your screen where he goes to block. We used to call this play Broadway when we were on defense because the tight end is showing you one thing and doing another. Creeps across that line of scrimmage to the other side, and then the rest he just does.
Chig getting into the end zone after that catch.
Loved it, man. That's a free touchdown for the quarterback, but that's all Chig right there. I'm talking about spin out of somebody, do a cartwheel, go in the end zone, hit his dance. So that's a Chig play. That's plays that we expect out of him. And I'm just happy he's able to do it. And I'm looking forward to it next week.
That's Cam Ward after the game. Really good play by Chig Okonkwo. We will get into getting chiggy with it, as the broadcast said. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show and what sort of a statement maybe he's made to the Titans and the priority he should be this offseason. Taking your thoughts on Cam Ward, 615-737-1025. Let's head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Blaine to the program. Blaine, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning.
What's going on?
I just I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and first time I've called, but I think Cam Ward is going to be great. Once we get pieces around him, I think honestly he can have potential to be an all-pro quarterback. So I think we shouldn't give up hope on him quite yet. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Blaine. Appreciate the call.
And also, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you like high school basketball, the Battle of Nashville is today for till the 31st at BGA. The best high school teams in the state will be there. So if you have nothing to do, you guys should come out.
Sweet. Awesome. Appreciate it, Blaine.
All right, thank you.
Rexrode would be posted up with like his chest painted out there. Little high school basketball.
Maybe. That is possible.
Hey.
That might be a little weird, but
Well, maybe so. On that front.
we'll get out there.
You get out there. Maybe warm guys up, get a little hooping done out there. How's the knee feeling?
Yeah, it's fine. I
There
think
you
I
go.
haven't in like 2 weeks done anything at all other than eat. So, but that helps.
Maybe
it not
someday
hurt.
you could be like me and get gout.
But yeah, it feels okay.
That's good. It's good to know.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yep, no problem. So on the Cam Ward front, Blaine feels good about Cam Ward. I think a lot of Titans fans look at some of the plays he made yesterday and feel pretty good about it. Joe, we're reaching the end here where you got one game left in the season, and then his rookie year will be done at that point, and we're going to get into, who's the next coach going to be and what's the coaching search look like and all the off-season decisions that the Titans have to make coming up. But as you look at progress from where things started with Cam Ward to where they are now, in your opinion, how do you feel? How do you think Titans fans should feel about the progress that has been made with Cam Ward as we sit here with one game remaining in the regular season?
Well, I mean, I think people should feel hopeful and yet unresolved. There's a lot to find out. There's a lot of improvement he has to make. Yes, you can talk about the conditions. It's they've got to get better. It's interesting because I thought for a lot of yesterday, protection was pretty good. And the run game, again, helped him, supported him. So there are some things that have gotten better. Now, there were certainly some, the Saints they've got pass rushers. There were some also, some obviously busts in protection and things like that. And then some plays where he just made plays that, again, the way he extends plays and then still keeps his eyes downfield and is able to find people is pretty remarkable at times. So I think you should feel hopeful and hopeful, that it's going to work out, that he gets better, that they get better around him. It's still, you're still going to have, again, I think the Cam Doos and the Wardy doings, they can both spin things their way on this and be optimistic or pessimistic, based on what you've seen. We have a texter, you responded to him. His texter says Shuck was throwing to Olave against literal pizza delivery guys. Ward was throwing to Prochet and Kinsey. You flip those guys' situations situations, and Ward is the rookie of the year easily. Well, I don't know about that last part, but obviously Olave is the best pass catcher between those two quarterbacks for sure. It's funny you bring up Kinsey because that was a hell of a play by Kinsey and Ward, and it's like they kind of hooked up on the same kind of play that they didn't hook up on earlier. And as soon as I saw Kinsey make that play yesterday, I'm like, how many people are so mad that that wasn't Restrepo?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, look, I think that you should be hopeful, and I don't think that like this year. Obviously, you compare it to like Levis last year. I think at least at this point, Levis just wasn't, he just wasn't the guy. I think that they made the right decision. But I also would say that that there's just a lot to do, and I don't know. I don't know where it's going to end up for him. But we're going to leave this year, and he's going to be the guy, and they're going to continue to build around him. And I'm very excited to see what they can do and what he can do, and how different it looks next year. I think he's got a chance.
There is, they brought up rookie of the year there. It is interesting to me, and not that it matters because neither one of these guys are winning rookie of the year, but like Tet McMillan's the betting favorite right now. Tyler Shuck is at number 2. They got Jackson Dart, I think, is number 5 on the list right now in terms of the odds for rookie of the year at plus 2,700. And Cam Ward is 3 spots below that, tied with Tyler Warren for plus 40,000. It's like, okay, like what has Jackson Dart really done? Like, go look at the numbers. What has Jackson Dart really done that Cam Ward hasn't done to be that big of a difference in the odds, other than he plays in New York?
Yeah, I think no, it's totally fair. I think that there were a couple performances, but really early, right? I think he had one that was on a prime time where he played really well, right?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, Cam didn't even have that opportunity, but that's the only thing I can come up with because it's gone pretty poorly for him.
I mean, we're 2 weeks removed from him being
progressed.
7 of 13 for 33 yards.
Yeah. But yeah, those are also betting odds too, right?
Yes.
So it's like
it's a disappointing list in general, huh? From the rookie class.
Yeah.
No one's really standing out this year.
No, I mean, Tet McMillan's good. I mean,
he's very good.
Yeah, he's a good player. Tyler Shuck has looked good lately, but yeah, there's nobody like just totally running away with it.
No, it is. It's disappointing that there aren't more rookies at different positions who are making, an impact. Matthew from Jolt, an interesting point. How is Jim DK not in the conversation with the rookie? He got the rookie all-purpose yardage record, I think, yesterday. I mean, I think that just shows you where on the totem pole that stuff is and like where it's valued. Yeah. But I mean, I agree that he should at least get a mention when you set a rookie record like that.
You would think. I know people are concerned about the draft order after each Titans game. So yesterday they lose. They fall to 3-13. They join the Giants, the Jets, the Cardinals as the other teams at 3-13. Joe, a titanic battle yesterday that I did not watch 1 second of between the Giants and the Raiders. Really good stuff from the Raiders in that one. So they've now lost 10 in a row, and they are 2-14, and they're going to have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft coming up. The Titans, according to Tankathon.com, are at number 4. So it's Raiders, Giants, Jets, and then the Titans, just ahead of the Cardinals and the Cleveland Browns, who got a big win yesterday against the Pittsburgh Steelers to improve to 4-12. So Titans are sitting at number 4 right now in the draft order.
Let me just say, first of all, even though my lock was the Steelers, as a big misfire by me, I'm pretty excited that the Browns got that done and that we get Ravens Steelers for the division.
Yeah.
I still feel like the Ravens could be dangerous, but on the Titans or on the Raiders front, by the way, we people who talk about tanking, now there's an example of, again, players. No, the people who are doing the football, they don't. But this whole thing with Max Crosby, and he like left the building. I don't know. He's hurt, but he left the building. They don't want to play him. He wants to play. Like there's your, let's make sure we lose this game. Front offices
shut down Bowers too.
Yeah,
and Bowers. Front offices, they'll they'll try to influence things to tank. That's where if there's tanking, that's where it comes from. So Tom Brady, here you go. Tom Brady, you've become a average-ish announcer. Let's see how you are at drafting quarterbacks, because you're going number 1, buddy.
I knew there'd be some way to
Brady
throw Brady under the bus.
And
there.
his one glove.
Yeah,
You see the one glove
did
going
see the
around
one
yesterday?
glove. He's on the call. He's got one glove on, one glove off. I just had no idea what's going on there.
Yeah, tribute to MJ. I don't know.
I guess so.
He was obsessed with the whole receivers and their gloves they were wearing in the rain.
I wanted my guys to wear leather gloves.
Yeah. He kept bringing it up.
He's like, oh my God, you see him drop it with those plastic gloves?
By the way, speaking of the Raiders, I'm sure Pete Carroll is really just loving the decision he made to come back and coach that team in his 70s. That's good stuff.
Well, he's gonna get himself a number 1 overall. I guess he's gonna get Mendoza.
I guess.
Right? Is that what's happening?
I guess so.
Good. Yeah,
Good for you.
That'll be enough.
There you go, Pete. 615-737-1025, our phone number. A stat that I saw from the Titans game yesterday, their performance against the Saints, that almost literally blew my mind. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. 1025 The Game, your home for the Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl. Tomorrow, pregame show starting at 3 o'clock, kickoff at 4:30 between Tennessee and Illinois. Music City Bowl coverage presented by Pickers Vodka and Beyond the Edge Sports Bar. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, I saw a stat from Next Gen Stats from Cam Ward and the Titans yesterday that was pretty amazing. So, as we mentioned earlier in the show, Cam Ward was sacked 4 times yesterday. The Saints were credited with 8 quarterback hits, which is a lot. Like, it's a lot of times for your quarterback to be getting hit. And yet I saw this from Next Gen Stats. It says Cam Ward averaged a time to throw of 4.07 seconds in the Titans' loss to the Saints, the longest by any quarterback in a game in the Next Gen Stats era, which is since 2016. So of all the games that have been played since 2016 in the Next Gen Stats era, yesterday Cam Ward averaged the most time to throw of 4.07 seconds. What do you make of that, Joe?
Well, yeah, that's a heck of a stat, and there are at least 2 plays I can think of where it was about 15 seconds.
It's a long time. Yeah,
that's a direct result of his ability to extend plays. Also, again, there were some plays where he had time to scan the field because of protection, too. So there's that. But yeah, he's a play extender extraordinaire. He especially when he's chased and defensive players do what they're supposed to do, chase through the sideline, use the sideline as another defender. Most quarterbacks on a lot of those plays, that's just going to be an automatic sail out of bounds play, and and so far he has at times gotten in trouble with some of this throwing back across the field. It's generally not advised, especially in this league, but he largely has found ways to still put the ball in a good spot and make plays on some of those. That's an interesting one too, for the new coaching staff and everything. It's I wouldn't want to take that away, but at the same time, plays like that can really be costly, at times. But hey, man, he's had a few this year where there's no way you're going to make a play out of that, and yet he does.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Like you said, I do think there are quarterbacks around the league that have similar skill sets that probably give up on the play before he does, right? And by give up, you're just sailing it into the 4th row and living to fight another day. I wonder if there's more of that from Cam Ward coming as time moves on here. But then again, Joe, you see it, the play he made to Io Manor yesterday on the 3rd and 9, where he basically has to drift to his left, runs all the way back to his right, cuts back up, climbs the pocket, and finds Io Manor before he just gets crushed in the pocket back there. It's a great play. It's a fantastic play. And I'm with you. When he does that, is it always the most advisable thing to do? Is he really protecting the football that great doing that? Probably not. But that's also something from his game that, I don't know that I necessarily want to take away because of how spectacular it is.
Yeah, for sure. As long as it doesn't turn into a bunch of turnovers. Again, there were plays like that at Miami, and when I watched that, I think I said this during the draft process, but it's there's some stuff he did at Miami. You're just not you're not doing that in the NFL. You're just not doing it, and he is still doing some of it.
Yeah.
Now even at Miami, sometimes those plays would turn into a pick. And so it'll be interesting moving forward. If some of that is taken out of his game a little bit, or you have to be more careful. But again, he. That play you just mentioned, there's one where it's just wow, it's just a big time play, and those can be difference makers. Again, now throw those plays into a better offense, a better functioning offense with receivers that are more dangerous, and what does it look like? If he improves and he gets more consistent, then those plays can be the plays that win games.
One texter says, if the Titans add Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson, plus sign an Alec Pierce or a Michael Wilson caliber free agent wide receiver, then I'm super optimistic about Cam Ward's future. That part of it is going to be interesting to see this offseason of how aggressive are they going to get at wide receiver, right? we keep talking about the draft part of it, but like with all this money you got available to spend, very rarely are big time receivers out there. And I wouldn't classify an Alec Pierce or Romeo Dobbs as we talked about as like a big time guy. But they're pretty good, like pretty good wide receivers. Yeah, like it can make a difference for you. So like how aggressive should the Titans be when it comes to not even just in the draft, but in free agency, trying to add one or two of those guys?
Yeah, I think they should be aggressive. And some of that is probably answered too. Like once everything shakes out after next week, and you kind of get a glance at the board and the teams ahead of you and what you think is going to happen. Like you get an idea of okay. I mean, you may not know you're in a draft. Of course, you have to go through all that stuff to know, but you probably have a decent idea of what might be available to you.
Yeah.
Once you see the whole board, and then you can act accordingly. But yeah, I mean, I think both things need to be absolutely fully explored. Do have a question, since we're talking draft real quick from a Vansies on the YouTube chat. Would you rather have Mendoza or Ward? I don't know if that's a question like suggesting the Titans might look at Mendoza. I don't know who I'd rather have. I don't think either of them are like number one overall pick level QBs. Said that about Ward already. I don't think Mendoza is either. He's going to go number one overall, I think. But I sure as heck wouldn't consider for a second, even if I was in position to take him at this point, I'd be rolling with Cam Ward.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they will. The question, let's say the draft order stays the same as it is right now. So you've got the Raiders presumably taking a quarterback at number 1. Well, the Giants don't need a quarterback at number 2. You would assume that the Jets do at number 3. So when you start looking at all that, what's Cleveland doing at quarterback? Are they just rolling with Shador heading into next year? What's Arizona doing at quarterback with Call of Duty back there as their starting quarterback right now? Like, it is shaping up, Joe, where there is definitely 2, and you could make the argument of maybe a couple of more quarterback needy teams that are all like right around the Titans. Are there going to be enough quarterbacks that are rated highly enough, or that teams think are rated highly enough, to make that an interesting discussion around the Titans? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And the thing is people will talk themselves into there being enough,
Yeah.
Probably. But that is where if you as a Titans fan and you just would like as much of that as possible, which is certainly could potentially help your team, that's where you root for Dante Moore and to play really well for Oregon against Texas Tech, possibly win, possibly advance. That's where you root for Ty Simpson to beat Alabama or to beat Indiana, because Mendoza's already, and I suppose Mendoza could stink in that game and whatever, but like Ty Simpson is the guy who I think if he does really well, then I think that his family will be more open to him leaving. I mean, at this point, I would guess he's back at Bama next year. But if he lights it up, and it's like, okay, man, I mean, you got hurt this year, you got back injury this year. I mean, understand how much more you could get hurt than you could see him in there. And all of a sudden, there's 2 guys who those could be the next 2 QBs after Mendoza.
Yeah, I mean, by the odds, they are, right? I mean, if you're going odds, it's Mendoza at 1, Dante Moore is at number 2, and then the next quarterback on the board is Ty Simpson, and we'll see how that ends up shaking out that way. But, I mean, there's not a lot of quarterbacks in general on this list, and there's not a lot of quarterbacks that I'm absolutely convinced are like top 10 worthy quarterbacks. But we know how the draft works. Sometimes guys that we don't think are top 10 worthy somehow find their way into the top 10.
Yes, they do. And hey, we remember how many times we've said, "Hey, Malik Willis almost went number 2 overall." Well, maybe he should have. Maybe in the end, he actually should have.
Maybe so. 615-737
replace Jordan Love
1025. Yeah, that's been an interesting conversation that somebody asked Matt LaFleur about yesterday. That went well at the press conference.
Who asked?
I think it was Ryan Wood. I think is his name.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't go well.
Ryan Wood's been covering them forever.
He's like, let me make this clear. Jordan Love's the quarterback. Thank you. Appreciate it.
My goodness.
Uh,
But
that-
hey, he did look amazing.
He did. There was one Tennessee Titan yesterday that I wonder, did he make a statement to Mike Borgonzi of, hey, I don't know what all you got going on this offseason, but you better make sure that I'm a priority. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We will be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. Coming up later in the program at 8 o'clock for his weekly visit. We'll have the Rob rant later this hour as well. A lot of former Titans making some news over the weekend with Derrick Henry, his performance against the Packers. Malik Willis. It's kind of like a battle between Derrick Henry and Malik Willis on Saturday night, so we'll get into that a little bit later in the show as well. Taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Titans fall 34-26 to the New Orleans Saints yesterday. Titans are 3-13 on the season. That was their final home game. One more game coming up for the Titans against Jacksonville to close out the regular season. And one guy that made a heck of a play yesterday, and we heard the highlight earlier in the show, Chig Okonkwo with an incredible touchdown yesterday. Really good run after the catch. I mean, I would assume, Joe, that he's going to be at least a contender on the angry run stuff that Kyle Brandt does on the NFL Network. Assume that's got to be on there. But he had 3 catches for 55 yards and the touchdown yesterday. If you look at him on the season, I mean, again, you're not talking about number 1 tight end in the league numbers or numbers that are going to blow you away. But through 16 games, Chig has 54 catches, 558 yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. So you're talking about a guy that I don't think is going to cost all that much in free agency. But we saw again yesterday, as the chance, if you get him the ball, to do some special things with the ball in his hand. That is now a career high that he set yesterday in receiving yards with 558 on the season. His previous high was in 2023 when he also had 54 catches for 528 yards. So it's been a couple years since we've seen this type of production from Chig. The most mystifying part about Chig to me, Joe, is like he's never really been a huge touchdown guy. Like he's got 8 touchdowns in his entire career. And that's over the span of 4 seasons. And you look at, what he's able to do with the ball in his hand after the catch, the size that he brings, you think there'd be more than that to this point. But a good reminder yesterday of what he can do. So my question is, how big of a priority is Chig this offseason if you're Mike Borgonzi? How much does all the other needs that you have factor into it? And what do you think the market's going to look like for Chig Okonkwo based on the numbers that I just threw out there?
To be fair on him not being a big touchdown guy, he's also not been on any big touchdown teams.
That's very true.
Few of them to go around. But I think he's a priority. I think he's gotten better. He definitely is. You mentioned the angry run thing. I think we've seen more and more. I think he's broken more tackles this year. I'd be willing to bet than like the rest of his career combined. Maybe that's a little bit of hyperbole, but he's never really been a guy like that. And I feel like he's gotten stronger, more physical, and he's good chemistry with Cam. I think you want to keep going with that. He's not a great player. I don't think he's ever going to be a star, but it's not a bad thing to have a weapon like that, kind of a versatile hybrid sort of guy like that who connects well with the quarterback and can make plays for you. Is he one of those guys who would be overpaid? We're talking on the YouTube chat about like don't overpay this receiver, that receiver, whatever. It's like that's what free agency is. It's overpaying season, So could someone do that? Sure, I think he's a priority. Is it also the end of the world if he's not on the Titans next year? No, I don't think so. But it seems like you'd want to maintain some of these things that Cam has built this year and some of the chemistry he's built. We know that's going to continue to happen with these rookies from this year. I mean, that they're going to move forward, and we'll see where they slot in. You want them to slot a little lower because of other additions, and certainly you'd love to have a Trey McBride or something like that at tight end. But I think Cam Ward is a decent priority. Not the end of the world if you lose him.
Well, I think the more I look at it, I think tight end probably needs to be relatively the same next year, right? Like Helm and Chig. And then, when you get beyond that and you start to fill some of these other bigger holes on the roster, then maybe you take another look at tight end, right? Like, I mean, look, who knows? Maybe Gunnar Helm this time 2 years from now is a really good starting tight end in the league. I mean, I think that's possible. I don't know that I would bet on it, but I think it's possible. But right now, with all the other stuff they got to figure out, I mean, number one, Joe, there's not a lot of guys on the roster that are in the position that Chig's in that you're going to even entertain bringing back, just because we all know this roster it needs a lot of turnover. So, like, you look at the defensive side of the ball, there's going to be a lot of turnover on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, there are some younger building blocks that they have in place, and it's probably going to be, a lot of those guys back, and then hopefully a couple of additions to it. But there's not a lot of guys that are in like the position with Borgonzi where you're looking at that are on expiring contracts that you are giving any consideration at all to bringing back. So, like, my philosophy would be, I don't think it's going to cost all that much to keep Chig around. I think he's shown some progress and shown some ability to connect with your quarterback, which is important. And you got all this other stuff to figure out. I wouldn't add another tight end to that list. I'm not saying Chig needs to be your top priority heading into the offseason, but I would make a point if I'm the Titans trying to get him back in the fold here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't create more needs to fill where you just more unknowns. The corner situation is gonna be a total revamp, and then how good are you going to be able to be there with whatever you do, and then you put that in the context of everything else you have to do. Yeah, why have this as well? And Chig is we've talked about it. He's a pro. He's a good guy in the locker room. I know people get mad because he went to Belgium for a week or whatever. I have no idea, but
world traveler this past off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you better not have any of those stickers on your suitcases from other countries. You need to be studying film, grinding film the entire offseason. No, he's a good guy to have around. So I think it's a good idea for sure. Yeah, like if he is, some guys are like, hey man, that like I'm going to get out there, and because agents know that, especially if they have an inkling, of a team or two that may be really interested in their client.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, like we're going to get overpaid basically. And so that happens too. And if it does, the future of the Tennessee Titans doesn't rest on that decision, but I think it'd be good for him to be back.
Step back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in James to the program. James, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, guys. I just kind of wanted to go along with what you were saying. I think the biggest fear with the athleticism that Chig's shown this year and the connection with Cam is a tight end we're familiar with, and Delaney Walker leaving the Niner and coming to Tennessee and actually, showing out because he gets paired with a better quarterback and a better system.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the call, James. Like, I don't know that Chig is ever going to be Delaney Walker, but like yesterday is that's a heck of a play he made yesterday. And, I don't think he's going to be all of a sudden making those plays every week, but for what I think he's going to cost, which is not all that much, like the ability to get the ball in his hands and to have him make some plays like that for your quarterback is a good thing. And again, like if let's say you don't re-sign him, well, you've got Helm, which I think you feel good about, but then you've got to go find another tight end. Like, it's not like you just be okay with Gunnar Helm and then a couple of scrubs in the tight end room next year, right? Like, I don't think Gunnar Helm has arrived to that point where it's like, yeah, that's Gunnar Helm's room, and then we'll worry about everybody else behind it after that.
I would like to point out that DMR made a nice play yesterday.
He did. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe it is Gunnar Helm and DMR. Like
that was one of those extend plays too, by the way. It ended up being just a little dump over the middle scramble drill, but another one of those like 11-second plays until he threw the ball.
Well, like if I told you right now that was the tight end room next year was those three guys again, like, yeah, like in that you're hoping that Gunnar Helm continues to take some steps and gets better. And, I guess is your number one tight end moving forward. But like, I would probably sign up for that right now if I'm a Titans fan of, all right, let's at least just have a tight end position, a position group that we feel decent about heading into next year. And then we can, if need be, in the next year or two, try to go find that game breaker guy. I mean, I don't think Helm, Okonkwo are game breakers at the tight end position. But I also don't know if the Titans have the luxury of trying to go find that this offseason with everything else they got to do.
Yeah, and it's not like there's if they were where they are in where it looks like they're going to end up in the draft, and there was a Bowers or a Warren or so, then there'd be a discussion. And maybe I'm missing, yeah, but he's not going to. I mean, he's not going to go that high, right?
No, I don't think so.
So there's just not, and he's good. He's going to be good. He's going to get drafted high, but to me, it would have to be one of those, oh my God, you can't pass up on this kind of talent. And there isn't that. And so, yes, if you tell me that's the room, then I'm saying, great. How's the corner room look? How's the offensive line look? Is there a difference maker at receiver? Is there another edge who can play, et cetera, et cetera? Well, once you get into all those, then it's kind of like a no-brainer that some of these rooms, if they're just okay, have to stay the same.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. It was a big weekend for some former Titans, including one that continues to climb up the all-time list. And by the time he's said and done, may end up being like the greatest running back to ever play the game. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
I'm so thankful and so blessed, and God has been so good. And every teammate, coach that has contributed, throughout my career for me to have those accolades and the success I've had, I'm just very appreciative. As a kid, names you mentioned, growing up hearing those names, idolizing those guys, and my name to be mentioned with theirs is just so a surreal moment for me and something that I always cherish.
That's Derrick Henry over the weekend after he just absolutely destroyed my Green Bay Packers. I mean, could not stop him. It was crazy. He ran for 216 yards and 4 touchdowns on 36 carries over the weekend, Joe, which has now vaulted him to, with 1 game left, as you mentioned earlier in the show, a huge game coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derrick Henry, again, has found himself right around the 1,500-yard mark. He is at 1,469 yards at the age of 31. He is almost 32. His birthday's coming up here in a few days where he'll be 32 years old. He is now, I guess, within shouting distance. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bills do with James Cook, who is currently leading the way at 1,606 yards for the NFL rushing lead. Jonathan Taylor is at 1,559. And we know he's going to play. And Henry's at 1,469. So it's unlikely that he's going to outright win the NFL rushing title again. But here he is again. I mean, those 2 guys I just mentioned ahead of him are 26 years old. Achan's right behind him at 24 years old, and he's at 31, almost 32. About to be at another 1,500-yard season and just continues to move up the ranks of the all-time rushing list. He's closing in on 13,000 yards for his career, which he very well may get this weekend, Joe. He's at 12,892 at the moment. So, 108 yards, and he's at 13,000 for his career. He's at 122 touchdowns. I mean, they flashed up. If they flashed up 1 graphic in the game, they probably flashed up 30 in the game of the different yardage and touchdown combos. And, it's just him and LT on this list. It's him and Jim Brown on this other list. And here we are at the end of the season, Joe, again, and we'll see if they can win the game and get in the playoffs and what all that looks like. But, after kind of the midway point this year, you wondered if maybe things were slowing down for Derrick Henry. He's going to end up yet again, Joe, with somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 yards and somewhere in the neighborhood of like 18 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And it's just, to me, it's just so cool to see, especially this has been a tough year because he's had some fumbles that were really important, that have really hurt the Ravens, even in some of his big games. So to see him carry them like that was really remarkable. And like you said, it's just the Packers. I do think that the Huntley run threat helped some. You take eyes away a little bit, but still the Packers. Like they knew what was coming and they couldn't stop it, and obviously I know your Packers are very banged up. I mean, this is when you lose some key guys and this can happen, but you can't take away. This guy's sitting here now at what 3,600 yards in his 2 seasons. And he's not done with season 2 since moving to the Ravens. It's amazing. He passed Tony Dorsett, so Tony Dorsett was 10th all time. Tony Dorsett now sits 11th all time. Derrick Henry, top 10. And next year, he's going to, I think it's a gimme that he's going to pass Eric Dickerson, Jerome Bettis, LaDainian Tomlinson, and probably Curtis Martin and be sitting there, again, unless he's hurt, he's going to be sitting there probably. Well, I don't know. That's still, I guess, going to take more 1,000-yard season to get past Martin. But there's a good chance of it that he's going to be sitting right behind Adrian Peterson and Barry Sanders on the all-time list.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you said, all these different. He now has that's a remarkable stat. The most he's been sitting there in a tie forever with Jim Brown and I forget who the other one was, but forever with the 6 200-yard games.
Yeah.
Most ever, and now he holds that record alone, which is. So we don't have to talk about the Hall of Fame anymore. It's first ballot gimme, but also like you said, you start having to talk about him among the greatest backs, and there's so many different styles among these backs. But when you have that kind of home run ability still at that age, and you are that physical and you're that durable. He's a freak, and it's cool to see. I hope we get to see him in the playoffs, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, the other night it was insane because Tyler Huntley was the quarterback for the Ravens. Like, everybody knew that Tyler Huntley wasn't going to sit back there and just throw the ball around the yard all night long. Although he did make a couple of plays in the passing game. But look, I understand Micah Parsons isn't playing for the Packers, and neither is Devontae Wyatt, and they got a ton of injuries that they're dealing with. That's still like an NFL defense that just got absolutely punked by a running back that everybody knew was getting the ball, right? Like, I mean, he was dealing with stacked boxes the whole night. Everybody knew he was getting the ball, and he still averaged 6 yards carry in the game. And then, another one of those stiff arms, Joe. It wasn't quite the Josh Norman one, but Carrington Valentine almost got thrown into about the 8th row at Lambeau Field on Saturday night. Just another one of those stiff arms where it's like, man, if you're a defensive back, either go low or move, but don't try to go high on him. I can't believe people can't understand this yet.
Yeah, it wasn't like the one that you mentioned, but it was like a straight on. It was just kind of really disrespectful.
He pushed him back 7 yards.
Yeah. Man, yeah, that one's got to be on the angry runs list too. No, it's amazing. It really is. And I still look. I understand that there are more important things than a running back. Although, again, I would go back to the Eagles last year and say they had a lot of things going for them. One of the things they had going for them was a 2,000-yard back playing at his absolute best in that run. And I still feel like, with Lamar Jackson, can you get the best version or a good version of him with Henry? I think they should go win at Pittsburgh, and I think that they could be a super dangerous. Well, they'd be the 4 seed, right?
Yeah.
So they'd get a home play. It would be a very dangerous team in this tournament if they can somehow get Lamar back, and with the way Henry's running, and Zay Flowers, what he is too. I still think that could be a team to be reckoned with in this postseason.
Well, and I said it earlier, and people were having this discussion this weekend. He's going to be 32 years old in a couple of days here. And, we keep having the conversation every year of, when is Derrick Henry going to slow down? And look, he's not going to end up with 2,000 yards this year, but he is probably going to end up with somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,600 at the age of 32. And like you said, I mean, you start to look at some of these names on the list, he very well could be approaching, 6th on the all-time rushing list by the time next year's done. And look, at 32, I have no idea how much longer he's got left. It goes quickly for running backs in this league, but I think we kind of know at this point he's a different dude. He's probably never going to catch Emmitt Smith in the yardage race. Like that would be unbelievable if he was able to pull that off over the next few years. But I do think, by the time he's said and done, Joe, he's probably going to be top 6, top 5 in the history of the game in terms of rushing yards. The touchdown numbers he's going to put up are insane. The combination of the 200-yard games. I've said this before, but some of the plays he makes with the stiff arms that go on the highlight reel. I think you're going to have a serious discussion at the end of his career. Is he on the and I'm talking short list, top 2, top 3 of the greatest running backs to ever play the game by the time this is all said and done. And people were having this discussion over the weekend, Joe, and they were talking about, his high school career, and then obviously what he did in college, winning the Heisman, and then throwing that in together in the NFL, how there's probably never been anyone, when you take all 3, high school, how dominant he was, college, what he did at Alabama, and his NFL career, there's probably never been anyone that's had that level of a career. I don't know. I'm not overly familiar with Barry Sanders' high school career, so I couldn't tell you what he did there. But we are getting to the point, people there are some conversations I see on Twitter from every now and then, man, is Derrick Henry going to be a Hall of Famer? I'm like, guys, I think we moved past whether or not he's going to be a Hall of Famer 3 years ago. And now it's just where exactly is he on the list of the greatest running backs to ever play the game?
Yeah, no, and that's a great point on the high school thing. The fact that this kid almost just beat his record, didn't quite do it. But that, and I don't know. That's the thing is I don't know. I mean, you assume any of these guys had insane. Now I know that Barry Sanders had a 2,600-yard college
Yeah, exactly.
season where it's like one of the greatest college seasons ever, which is definitely better than Derek's, although they both won the Heisman. And yeah, it's interesting too because it's like how you want to look at eras. Do you more value the running backs who were great when the league was more built around running backs and more built around stopping running backs? It would go to the like Walter Payton and guys like this, or because obviously Derrick Henry he's sort of a throwback, and running backs are always going to be important. Running the ball is always going to be important, but a lot of teams have a combo situation in the backfield, and obviously catching the ball is more prioritized and all that stuff. And he is a straight up, just a running back, but he's like the Barry Sanders highlights, they'll never like there's just never been anyone quite like him. I don't know that there will be someone quite like him, but I think Derrick Henry's highlight tape too. The stiff arms and just the incredible speed and ability to hit home runs at that size is something that'll hold up. But yeah, I'd put him. I think Jim Brown and Barry Sanders are always going to be in the discussion. And Emmitt Smith should not be in the discussion. By the way, I know he's the all-time leading rusher, but he's just not. He's not the same level as the top guys. Adrian Peterson probably should be in the discussion. And then, I mean, Dickerson too, I think. And he's probably the most like Derrick Henry, although not nearly as physical, but like the upright, glider. But yeah, I think he's getting in that situation where when you have that discussion in the future, he at least has to be mentioned. And that's even for 2 years ago when he went to Baltimore. We weren't talking about that at all.
No. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll take more of your thoughts on Derrick Henry. Plus, another former Titan over the weekend turned a lot of heads around the NFL, and I wonder if he's going to find himself a starting job next year. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Do you feel like you're ready at this point to be a starting quarterback?
I try not to look too far ahead. I just got to stay where my feet are, and obviously right now I'm backing up Jordan and just doing what I can to stay ready and be ready to go if the team needs me.
You're also, I mean, you're playing for next year too, though, and I'm sure that's not lost on you. What would your pitch be to a team that's thinking about giving you that shot?
I think that what you put on tape is your pitch, and obviously, any opportunity, it will be a blessing, and you want to think about that type of stuff, but you can't worry about tomorrow. Today have enough problems of its own. We got to figure out how to get back on track here.
That's Malik Willis over the weekend. Former Titans quarterback, now stepping in there with the Packers. They lost 41-24 to the Ravens over the weekend. It was not from lack of effort on Malik Willis's front. Joe, he was awesome in the game. 18 of 21, 288 yards through the air, had 1 touchdown. Also added 60 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns rushing as well. Malik Willis turning a lot of heads on Saturday Night Football and has people asking the question, I mean, is he going to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League next year? Joe, I thought he was awesome in this game. I mean, he, from the time he left the Titans till now, has really helped himself. Now, he hasn't played that much since then, but last year he got in, they beat the Colts. Obviously, we all know what he did here when the Packers came to Nashville, and he was a starting quarterback in that game. Played great against the Titans. He won another game against Jacksonville last year. And then this year, he stepped in a couple weeks ago when Jordan Love got hurt against the Bears. I think he was 9 of 11 in that game for 121 yards and a touchdown. And then what he did on Saturday night against the Ravens. I mean, Joe, is fun to watch. I mean, there was one point we were in a group text with Charles, and it was like, is Michael Vick playing out there? Like, what in the world's going on with Malik Willis? What'd you make of what he did in the game against the Ravens, and what do you make of the idea of him potentially being a starting quarterback in the NFL next year? How realistic do you think that's going to be?
Well, it's amazing to watch him play right now, and it really says some things, and it really doesn't say some things that some people want it to say. So first of all, what does it say? It's a great example of young players, and again, I do think young players who come in from certain offenses need time. And you look at his improvement, it's tremendous. I think it does. I know you want him fired, but I think it absolutely speaks to Matt LaFleur's ability to look at a player at that position, develop skills, but also build things around that player to maximize the player. You have to give a nod to the coaching on this, but more even of a nod to Malik Willis. We always knew that he had a big arm, big, strong arm, could make any throw. Always knew that he was a great athlete, but he's really become, I think he's become someone who some teams are going to start looking at as a possibility, at least maybe a possibility in a 2 QB competition or whatever. I mean, he's given himself a chance. Anyone who's like looking at this now and wants to go back and shame the Titans for moving on, which I saw. I mean, I actually saw, I hate to like rip Stilly, but like I saw like his tweets about he was the worst player I've ever seen as a rookie. And like at the same time, he's like, oh, the Titans, just ripping the Titans for letting him go. It's like, wait a minute now. We all saw, anybody who saw him out there, he was not close to a starting quarterback in this league. And frankly, again, the discussion we had, Robby, was, can he keep himself in the league as a backup? Yeah. That's what it was. He was a one-read player. He got starts. And even like Malik himself, I think last week was like, well, I just never got a chance before. It's like, come on, man. That's not what happened. I mean, he actually got starts, and he had a lot of chances to play and to develop and show what he could do, and he just wasn't good enough. He's gotten better. So it's about him getting better, and it's about the coaching he's had. I mean, the Titans, and again, whatever. I mean, I don't even remember who was in charge anymore with the Titans in the past, because like so many people have been fired. Like it's not even necessarily like defending someone. I'm just saying this is one of those situations where people want to go back and relitigate something, and it's not there. it was not there for him. He was a one read and the eyes are down player, and you can't play that way in this league. And he's improved. Good for him. Where it goes from here is going to be really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially the other night to me, Robby. Like, we've seen him play well and stuff. He came in here last year and it was like this huge embarrassment for the franchise, whatever. I've seen him play well, but I thought the other night was like a different level for him.
Oh yeah, that was the best he's looked. And look, he has done a really good job coming in as a backup over the last couple of years. But like, I was at the Indy game when he came in. I mean, they ran the ball like 50 times in that game, and he was part of it. But I mean, they handed the ball to, I mean, Josh Jacobs probably had 25, 30 carries in that game. They handed the ball to Jaden Reed. Like, it was clear last year, even into last year when he was coming in and winning games for them, Joe, that they did not trust him to completely run the offense, right? That was not the case Saturday. Like, to his credit, he has worked. And you mentioned being one read. That's probably the thing that stood out to me the most, because look, we have seen Malik Willis when he was with the Titans take off running, and it's like, well, I mean, you could probably use that. That's a weapon. Like, he's fast. He's got a good ability to run the football. We've seen him uncork a couple throws where it's like, man, he's got an absolutely live arm out there. But what was different Saturday was he was reading defenses, reading the field, going through progressions, making the right decision. And on a couple of different occasions, Joe, I mean, making some really tight window throws against defenses where there wasn't a whole lot of separation out there, and he made the throw anyway. And oh, by the way, he was doing all that when he was dealing with a shoulder injury on his throwing shoulder. So there's also that as well that he was dealing with. So look, I thought it was really cool to see him play the way he did on Saturday. There's all sorts of buzz about him right now in terms of what this is going to mean for him this offseason. I am very interested to see if somebody out there has seen enough from him where they're comfortable making him their starting quarterback next year. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in a situation, maybe he's in a situation where he has a chance to compete to be the starter with maybe a draft pick or something, maybe not a high first rounder, but some team takes a quarterback in the second round and he can come in and compete. I am really interested to see, though, if there is a team out there that is like, yeah, screw that. We're signing Malik Willis to be our starting quarterback. He's our guy.
Yeah, and I don't want to compare him to Matt Flynn, but I'm not, because he, like he said, great answer. The tape is the pitch. That tape's going to help him. Still, there's a lot to find out about whether he can be a starter and be a difference making starter. I mean, I think any questions about him like overtaking Jordan Love are wild to me.
Yeah, that's not
played great, looked great. It's just, come on. Like, watch. And Jordan Love is one of the best QBs in the league.
Jordan Love was third in the MVP odds 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, but hey, there are, like, as a runner, and even like the speed, but also the power. Watching him like spin out of tackles and stuff too. Yeah, he's fun to watch. See, I'm looking at these like Chip from Mount Juliet. This shows the lack of coaching here. And then someone's like, well, Vrabel, the big old Vrabel wouldn't let him throw the ball. Again, guys, like, people can improve. What he is now is not what he was here, and they just said, nah, you're not good. Yeah, like every day on that practice field, okay, it was out there for everybody to see. It was not what it is now. He has improved. Good for him. This happens.
There's no doubt about that. The one thing I will say, and I agree with you on the Vrabel front. I mean, the one thing I will say on that front is, like, the Titans did move on from him as the backup for Mason Rudolph when Brian Callahan was the coach. And I know that we want to give LaFleur all this credit, and that's fine. He deserves credit. I mean, he did, like, basically start games for the Packers like 10 days after he got there. I don't know how much time Matt LaFleur had to work with him at that point, and played well in those games. So clearly, like, to me, this goes back, yes, like, LaFleur's done a great job with him, and he's gotten a lot better as a player, and he's developed. But I go back to the last offseason that he was here, right, where you and others saw him out on the field. We're like, you know what? He's gotten better here. I don't know how much better, but he's gotten better. And, 11 days later, after he gets cut from here or traded from here for a 7th-round pick, he's starting and winning games for the Packers. That would be the one where it's like, all right, Callahan, did you not see something you were supposed to see his last part of it here? But like the Vrabel stuff, we all saw it. He played games, and it didn't go very well.
Yeah, no, that's true. And, it's like with Callahan, of course, it's easy to dunk on anything Callahan did now. Obviously in Callahan's mind, it was like, I got the young Levis, and I'm going with the game manager who has actually won games as a starter in the league. Like, that's an easy choice. I think he said as a no-brainer or something like that when so yes, you could go back on that. And he did improve. That improvement though was not what we're seeing now.
No.
And so again, now does that system coaching in Green Bay? I'm sure that's some of it too, without question. A lot of people talking Colts for him, which would be interesting. A little Cardinals mentioned.
Good Lord.
It's going to be interesting.
Colts and is like really good.
Yeah. No, that would, yeah. I mean,
that'll go well.
Yeah. Finally, Chris Ballard, on your 19th try, you got it right.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll have the Rob Rant coming up next. Corey Curtis from News 2 with us at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Monday's made for Macero. Big screens, bold flavors, and all the football action from queso to kickoffs. This is how Macero does game night. Macero Football Mondays in 12 South. Don't miss a snap. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
Come in here and kick Rabel's ass real quick.
You break up with somebody, your girlfriend doesn't want to be with you, and then you say, well, I don't want to be with you either. I'm not going to get into all that.
Would you rather have foot pain, gout, or torn up stomach?
Good Lord, Paul, zip your pants up for Vrabel. There is a little bit of a portion of this fan base, though, that says some of the most asinine stuff I've ever heard of.
And I was like, go Tigers to the fans.
In what ways has he been a great addition?
Who's got the next question, Robby?
It got a little dirty. It is that time of the day, time for the Rob Rant here on the program. You can check it out every morning, either the Rob Rant or the Rex Rant. Joe, I want to continue the conversation we've had on the Malik Willis, Derrick Henry, former Titan front, because I've seen a lot of this weekend too. This was actually from the ESPN Bet account last night. It threw the question out there, could the Titans win the AFC South with Malik Willis, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Mike Vrabel? So it was kind of going through the exercise of, imagining the alternative universe of which all those people are still with the Tennessee Titans. And they weren't the only ones. It was like, I saw a lot of discourse over the weekend of, wow, the Titans got rid of Malik Willis, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Mike Vrabel. Really good stuff from Amy Adams Strunk there. I think we really need to separate a couple of these things here, because a couple of these things are not like the other ones. I think we would all agree, Joe, the A.J. Brown trade, an absolute disaster. And if you really want to get down to the kind of the nuts and bolts of all this, of when things started going the wrong way for the Titans, that's probably the first place you can look, is the A.J. Brown trade. It was it's been a sliding downhill disaster ever since that moment. So I think we all understand that. I think kind of in a similar conversation, maybe not as extreme, but Vrabel, moving on from Vrabel, I think even the most ardent of the Vrabel haters, with what he's done, by the way, wrapping up the AFC East yesterday and having a potential MVP candidate quarterback. We'll see what that looks like. I think even the most staunch of the Vrabel haters, Joe, would probably have to admit at this point that moving on from Mike Vrabel, probably a mistake by the Tennessee Titans, okay? So those are two things there. The other two, to me, are not remotely in the same conversation. I'm sorry. Every time the Derrick Henry conversation comes up, it's like, well, the Titans should have offered him another extension. The Titans should have kept it. Those conversations, if you believe that, that's fine. But they always leave out Derrick Henry's side of this, who was going to be a free agent. The Titans were doing nothing but losing at that point. You had a quarterback in Will Levis that nobody had any idea whether or not he was going to be any good. And Derrick Henry became a free agent and joined the Baltimore Ravens, who have been last year a legitimate Super Bowl threat. And who knows? I mean, they're playing a win in your end game coming up this weekend, and we'll see what happens on that front. But people just act like it was like a foregone conclusion that Derrick Henry, had the Titans offered him the contract, was coming back here. And I'm like, guys, I think Derrick Henry wanted to win. There's probably a pretty good chance he wasn't coming back. I don't know. Maybe he was, but people just always leave that part out of the conversation as if it's like Derrick Henry had no say as to whether or not he was going to come back here. So that's the one thing. And Malik Willis, as we just discussed, Joe, it has been a great story. He has turned himself into a really fun player to watch, and I am legitimately rooting for the guy to be a starting quarterback in the league next year, because I think it's going to be really fun to watch if he gets that opportunity. But Malik Willis, when he was on the field here with the Titans, wasn't very good. I mean, we went through in the last segment what that looked like and some of the flaws, and how, to his credit, he has worked through that and gotten better. And Joe, it's another one that you can probably add to the list of what is not just a Titans problem, but an NFL problem at large, of giving up on these quarterbacks too soon, which clearly happens in today's day and age. But to me, Derrick Henry, Malik Willis, not the same thing as A.J. Brown and Mike Vrabel. I'm sorry. And everybody needs to quit acting like they are.
Yeah. Well, by the way, if we want to get technical about it, I think the Willis pick was from the A.J. trade.
I think it was.
Yeah, but no, they're hugely different. It's fun to do these things, right? Put all these players together, and what if they had all these guys? But it wouldn't be the case. A.J. Brown, complete disaster decision. Vrabel firing, things had gone down, so that happens to coaches, but it was a mistake. We said at the time, it should be obvious now that it was a mistake. The Derrick Henry thing, I think it was a low percentage chance that he wanted to return. When Vrabel got fired, you pretty much take it to zero.
Yeah.
He was gone. So, yes, that one is definitely, it's frustrating. And again, I mean, look, even me at the time, I was like, man, Rand Carr, that you guys have got to, like it's like, oh my gosh, they're trading in Derrick Henry for Tony Pollard. But yeah, I think Derrick Henry was ready to move on. And I think especially that particular opportunity, which was a brilliant move by him, because I don't think there's a better place for him than in that Baltimore offense. And yeah, the Willis thing will be, I get it. Like Jeff on the text line is like, there's just too many ex-Titans who moved on to other teams and shown themselves to be much better than the opinion held by the Titans. I understand the thought process there, but again, I think one of the things that people just have a hard time with in the NFL is the idea that a player who comes in the league at 22 is just destined to be the exact same player at 25. And it's so often not the case. I mean, Josh Allen, keep bringing him up every time. Boy, what a throw in that 2-point conversion, by the way. Every once in a while, it's like, geez, there's
circa
college
2018.
Josh
Yeah.
Allen. Yeah. But talk about a guy who improved. It happens all the time, and it's happening with Malik Willis.
Well, I will say, it does make you wonder, like, what's in store for Will Levis. Like, I was watching Malik Willis out there, and I was like, good God, what is Will Levis going to be doing here in a couple of years? Like, what random Thursday night football game is Will Levis going to be in 2 years for, like, the Tampa Bay Bucks or something? He's out there just lighting it up.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. Will Levis has the talent. He's kind of been, I think, the pressure's off him now. I think the pressure on his shoulders was a part of the issue here. This whole, like, I have to do this, and it's just every play is, it's going to be a different thing psychologically for him, and he has talent. Also, he sprays the ball over the field too much.
He does.
So we'll see if but yes, get ready, everybody, because that's definitely a possibility at some point. Possibility you might see a Malik Willis, Will Levis showdown at some point in a huge game in future years, which will be a lot more tolerable if your quarterback ends up being good.
It was, the Saturday night game. They're showing the close-ups after the game, and then they just zero in on midfield of, it's usually the two quarterbacks embracing. And this time it was Derrick Henry and Malik Willis just dabbing each other up at midfield. And then I was like, oh man, Titans fans, I'm sorry. Shield your eyes. Shield your eyes.
Yeah. Well, look, and the thing is, it's like, look, it's been a bad organization, obviously top down, and there's been some bad coaching, some bad evaluation that have gone on too. So some of this there are some players around the league who should be here, who I do think that it is a case of the Titans screwing it up. But I think with those two guys, there's a lot more to the story.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans' 34-26 loss to the Saints yesterday. That is next. Chasing Big Joe broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall today, prior to the Monday Night Football game. Tonight's matchup is the Rams taking on the Atlanta Falcons. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. And it's Monday at 8 o'clock, and that can only mean one thing. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Corey Curtis to the program from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I and the NFC North champions are just fine today. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on your NFC North crown. I would say well-deserved, but I guess it is.
You can only beat the teams in front of you, and, that was not the Green Bay Packers last night.
That was not. No doubt about that.
That was a good football game last night, though.
Apparently, Brock Purdy, I mean, my goodness, the 3-week run he's on is unbelievable.
Yeah, major heater. He has looked outstanding.
Yeah, just crazy, the numbers that he's put up the last 3 weeks. Corey, the Titans fall 34-26 to the Saints. It was an interesting game from the Cam Ward perspective because he made, 3-4 plays in the game that were just absolutely sensational that you wonder how he gets rid of the ball and makes the play. Had a couple more plays in the second half that, frankly, probably should have been intercepted, and he ends up 21 of 40. So not a great day from a completion percentage standpoint. So factoring all that in, everything you saw from Ward yesterday, what'd you make of the way he played?
Well, it's like you said, there was moments of wow and moments of from him because he went last week. When remember last week we just talked about how quickly the ball got out of his hands. Got it out. Next Gen Stats put it out yesterday. He took 4.07 seconds to throw the ball yesterday for the game, the longest time in NFL Next Gen Stats history for a quarterback.
Yeah.
He held on to the ball forever. And, I understand, guys are open or guys are not, but you can't just hold on to it forever. There are a lot of times he had a nice pocket, held on to it, rolled to his right, couldn't get around that side. I mean, I know he wants to create, and I'm not a quarterback's coach, so somebody could tell me I'm a total doofus, but I just think he needs to make a decision faster. Either I got to get rid of it or I've got to run. Dancing around back here all day, all game long generally doesn't work. Especially, when you're on like your 6th, 7th, and 8th receivers, with the team. And so, he threw 2 touchdowns for the 4th game in a row, and that is huge progress. And before, if this team scored 26 points in a game, we would be celebrating. So the bar has clearly been raised. But they settled for 4 field goals. And I guess my point is he got 2 touchdowns yesterday. They needed 3. And I think that's the difference is, if you're going to be this team's franchise quarterback and you're going to be special, you've got to turn more of those 3s into 7s and win the football game.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I do think like the highlight tape of Cam Ward for this year for the Cam Dews, the people who love him, will be a lot of those plays where he's backing up, or then all of a sudden he rolls to the sideline and makes a throw across his body. I mean, some of those have been tremendous plays, but I would agree that like you don't want to do that too often.
Over and over again.
Yeah, you hit on something that it's interesting because we've talked about this, Corey, and I feel like for a little stretch of this season, he got better at it. And even Charles Davis said on the broadcast yesterday, it seems like, again, he really just isn't looking to run at all. And I think there are some moments where it's like, go get 5-6 right there,
Yeah.
And I know that it's obviously
last night where Caleb Williams needed 4 yards. And he immediately looked at the sticks and took off and got it. And there are opportunities like that for him that he just will not take.
Yeah. So I wonder, I guess, why that is. And then also just yesterday, it was so different on both sides of the ball, but the Titans dominated the first half and then were dominated in the second half. Why?
Well, in the first half, the defensive front was able to get to Shook, and they were able to get them out on short drives. I think as the game went on, Kellen Moore figured out just how thin that Titans secondary was and that he could take advantage of it. And they spread out the field more, and they got the ball out of Shuck's hands a little bit faster. And he had guys running free. Chris Olave running free, Juwan Johnson across the middle, running free. And so, he didn't hold on to it forever back there. He got it out. He got it out pretty fast. And as their passing yardage picked up, their running yardage picked up as well. And so, the defense, broke down the more that game went along, and just got more and more exposed as that game went along. Offensively, I don't know. I mean, offensively, they ran the ball reasonably well. It was a struggle from the start yesterday. They weren't ripping off huge chunks like they had in previous games, but they stuck with it, to their credit, and they still wound up with Pollard up over 4 yards per carry, I believe, when it was over.
Yep.
I think, yeah. And so, they still wound up, with decent numbers, but the play that killed them, or the drive that killed them, was Cam makes the nice throw, pitch and catch to Mason Kinsey, who makes a nice move on the football and catches it. It's a good ball. And they've got 1st and goal at the 7, and they don't score. I think the first play after that drive was a 1-yard loss to run by Tajay, who had a miserable day yesterday. I think he had 6 carries for 2 yards. And so then they were at 2nd and 8, and they couldn't punch it in, and they settled for a field goal. And you just at that moment kind of went, that one might cost them. And at that point, they could not continue to move the sticks for whatever reason. And he completed 50% of his passes. Whether that's because guys weren't open, you lost Van Jefferson at halftime, or he didn't see him, or the pass. There was no consistency to the passing game in the second half. I don't remember what his numbers were at halftime, but I do know his numbers at one point in the second half were 3 for 9. And so, the completion percentage dropped way off. And like, that's not me putting the whole loss on Cam Ward. I'm not a Cam Ward hater. I'm just saying the passing game wasn't good enough in the second half. Now, if that's because guys weren't open or not, I thought the protection was good yesterday. I mean, I thought he had some great pockets to throw from. So I think, the execution part comes up on the skill guys, I think largely in this one.
So, Corey, just a fantastic play from Chig Okonkwo on the 43-yard touchdown there. And, obviously, there's not a whole lot of Titans that are coming up with expiring contracts that I think Mike Borgonzi is going to have to think a whole lot about. It's like, well, let's probably turn over this roster a little bit. If I told you right now that the tight end room for the Tennessee Titans that they have right now is the tight end room that they've got next year, if you're a Titans fan, are you okay with that? How big of a priority is Okonkwo for you this offseason?
Well, I mean, you should know. I brought this up a few weeks ago. He's one of the few guys in the team who's really good with the ball in his hands. He is not a good blocker. I'm not going to fight for his ability blocking whatsoever. I mean, and I don't know if he can get better at it or not at this point. He's not good at it, but I don't care. He's good with the football in his hands. And I brought him being an 80 catch guy for somebody else next year, and you guys scoffed at it a little bit. He's about to be a 60 catch guy with this team this year. And so, he can get open, he can catch the ball, and he can make things happen when he does. I think there's room for somebody at that position on your roster. You generally carry 3, okay? The other 2 can be different, all right? And so he and Gunnar Helm are different. And then you have a third, and, whether you think, David Martin Robinson can be that guy or not, they need a tight end that they know can mash and, mash consistently. And so, that's the one that I think that they got to have. I mean, DMR, and there's going to be a new coaching staff. He's become a core special teams player, for this team. I think he had 2 special teams tackles yesterday, so is it a position where you can keep 4 guys? I don't know. Is having him as a core special teams player important to you? I don't know. But I think they need a clear third tight end who is a mashing guy, especially if you're going to keep Chig who's just not a good blocker. But I think he is talented in the receiving game. And if you get the right coach or he goes to the right coach, I think you're going to see it even more. I mean, like I said, he's going to catch 60 passes this year.
So, Corey, why is future multi-time MVP, Super Bowl winner, and first ballot Hall of Famer Malik Willis not still a Titans quarterback?
I heard you guys talking about this, and you were breaking it down, and I remember in that moment he was much improved that third year, much improved. I mean, I remember when we went down to New Orleans and he had 2 touchdowns. I think both of them to Bryce Oliver.
Yep.
And you were just like this, whether it was the time he got with Brian Callahan, whether it was just his third year, or what he got in the offseason, he was clearly a different guy. And I, for the life of me, did not understand why they gave up on him and traded him away for nothing. He was an asset at that point. You're always one play away, and your other guy was Mason Rudolph. And Mason Rudolph has always been and always will be Mason Rudolph. And so I thought it was a short-sighted decision, but if you're going to move on from him, whatever. Did I see him being as good as he is now? No. But, and I do not, I scoffed at the notion. I was fighting with Steve Lehman about this yesterday, and he was saying, well, he got with Matt LaFleur, and that's when it clicked. And I'm like, no, he was clearly better here. But I do agree with Steve with this. I think LaFleur puts a better game plan together for him to utilize him. And so, understanding where he is and what he can do. Because in these games, I mean, how many passes did he throw this week?
21.
Even 20? 21. Okay, yeah. He only threw 21 passes. So they're getting the most out of what he does, and that's running and minimizing his passing attempts, in throwing at a high percentage instead of trying to throw it 40 times. And they do a good job with what he does well. Kid works hard. He's humble, puts his teammates first. Those are all good things. But what's also right is he's one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen his first couple of years in the league. And now Cole McDonald is the worst quarterback I've ever seen. Do you guys remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hawaii, baby.
I mean, he made Malik look like a first team All-Pro. All right. Cole McDonald couldn't complete passes in practice. All right. And he was terrible. But Malik really struggled those first 2 years. I mean, I remember when they almost beat the Chiefs, and I think he was 5 for 21. Just completing passes was a all-out struggle. Sometimes just getting the snap was an all-out struggle. So he's come an incredibly long way, and he really deserves a ton of the credit, and he was not this guy for the whole time. But again, and one of you brought it up, I think it was Joe, guys are allowed to get better. And this is the argument that I always make, when we say, well, he stinks, he's terrible. Well, he's a rookie, or he's in just his second year in the league. They're allowed to get better. Sam Darnold got better. Baker Mayfield got better, but he's hurt again now. Guys, Geno Smith got better. And I think that Will Levis will probably get better. When and where, I do not know. But at some point, he probably will. And it's usually just a matter of how long you're willing to stick around with these. Even Mason Rudolph has gotten better. Mason Rudolph was awful when he first came into the league and has gotten to be a serviceable quarterback. And it's just, it is a good lesson that guys are allowed to get better. You generally have an idea of kind of who they are when they come into the league, but this league is different. It's not college, and the adjustment for everyone is different. It just is.
Well said, Corey. Well said. It's going to be interesting to see if the Titans can play spoiler to your favorite place, Duval, coming up this weekend and ruin their chances of winning the AFC South.
Do you think Liam Cohen is the coach of the year?
It's probably Vrabel, right?
Well, Liam Cohen is the first coach to take a 4-win team and win 12 games with it.
Yeah.
I
think any one of Vrabel, Cohen, and Ben Johnson, and maybe even Shanahan with the job he's done with all their injuries, would be good choices.
Yeah. They're all good. I think they'll hand it to Vrabel because the national media loves Vrabel. And he has done a great job. You can make the argument for all of those guys. But you win in Duval, you've done something special.
That is true.
Just wait till Mike McCoy comes in there and brings it all crashing to a halt this weekend.
That would be very Duval-ish.
It sure would. Boy, I can't wait for it.
You remember the year the Titans went to the Super Bowl? I think Jags were 14-2, and then lost in the AFC Championship, and all 3 of their losses were to Jeff Fisher.
You really like bringing that up, didn't you?
Very reminiscent of this year.
The only one who likes bringing it more is Jeff Fisher.
Exactly. Corey, thank you, sir. Happy New Year to you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy.
Corey Curtis, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic, joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll react to what Corey had to say there, get into Cam Ward's performance against the Saints coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Got some tickets to give away. A pair of tickets to see Belmont women's basketball taking on Illinois State at the Curb Event Center coming up on Sunday, January the 4th. Tip-off at 1 o'clock. To caller number 3, 615-737-1025. Caller 3 will win a pair of tickets to see Belmont women's basketball take on Illinois State coming up on Sunday at 1 o'clock. 615-737-1025. Appreciate Corey Curtis from News 2 for being with us in the last segment. Joe Cam Ward, 21 of 40 yesterday. You heard Corey's breakdown of the way that he played. What did you make of the Titans quarterback's game yesterday? And what do you make of the progress that we've seen from Ward from where things started this season to where they are now with just one game remaining in the regular season? A dramatic pause.
I want it pointed out that I did not try to talk while muted, so that does not count as bad mute usage.
We'll put it to a vote.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Put it on the text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHead.com. Yeah, I think yesterday was a really interesting day because it was some of the plays that were totally wow plays, maybe as many as he's had in one game. As Corey just said, some of those plays, you don't necessarily want to make a living on that. And I said he does, but it's just there were so many in yesterday's game. I think he needs to take off and run more and just get a few yards and keep a drive going, stay on schedule. But some of the plays were also tremendous. And unfortunately, that last play on fourth down where he somehow gets the ball out, the knee was down, and who knows what would have happened from there. It was kind of shaping up to be a really dramatic finish. Then he had some bad plays too, decisions and misfires. And of course, it's all true that I thought that the protection held up well a lot of the day yesterday, except for, there were certainly some reps where it was all caving in on him really fast. It's an interesting day because I feel like, again, he set a record, and some of that was just his own ability to extend plays. But there were a lot of good pockets, and then a few times it just totally caved in on him. He doesn't have like the same thing that Shuck has, for example, on the other side of the field. So you keep that in mind. But I did think, I don't think this is going to be one of those days. This wasn't one of his best days of the year. And obviously you'd love to see just a constant, steps forward. That's just not how it goes, though. The first half was excellent, and the second half was pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think first half it was pretty good. Numbers were good. It looked like he was in control of the game. And then really the whole team, it got away from him in the second half. The other part of this is, the Titans defense did a good job of keeping New Orleans in check and playing well in the first half. And then they got totally obliterated in the second half of the game, right? Some of that's on the offense for not sustaining drives and keeping the ball moving and all those things. But like the Titans defense, it was pretty clear in the second half yesterday that New Orleans said, all right, well, we're just going to just throw the ball down the field with this secondary that the Titans have that nobody knows who any of their names are. And we're going to just get 50 yards per play out there, which is what they did at times. Juwan Johnson, as Corey mentioned, had a couple of plays where he's just wide open in the middle of the field, and there's not a Titan within 8 yards of him. Chris Olave had a couple of those as well. So it was really Ward struggled in the second half. I thought the defense just got absolutely shelled in the second half. And when you have that combination of things, Jeffrey Simmons was talking after the game about how the heck they let it slip away. Well, that's how. You couldn't get to the quarterback. The quarterback had time and absolutely just obliterated you in the second half yesterday defensively. And then your quarterback, again, a couple of those plays we're talking about, the Io Manor play, the play to Spears where the knee goes down, and if that knee stays up and he completes that pass, what does that do for the outcome of the game? But a lot of those plays came in the second half, right? Of him extending plays. Yeah. You hit on something that is really interesting in terms of he extends plays all the time. Very rarely does he take off and run with it. I think he had 2 rushes yesterday for 10 yards. And we've talked about this before. Like Cam Ward, I don't think anybody's ever going to confuse him for Lamar Jackson back there or Malik Willis, just turn around and running the ball and being dynamic that way. But I do think we've seen enough from him being able to run the ball and pick up those free yards where sometimes you got your head 35 yards down the field looking to make a play that just frankly isn't there. And I think there needs to be, with all the stuff he works on this offseason, I think discernment is probably the word I would use of when to go with your legs, because I don't think he's got a good grasp on that yet.
Yeah, I agree. Look, he's pretty slow. I'm confident that he would beat Jared Goff in a foot race.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many other quarterbacks in the league. Seriously, I think he's pretty slow. But who's that?
Phillip Rivers. He'd beat him.
That's true. If we're counting Phillip Rivers, definitely he would crush him.
Cousins.
But
yeah.
Okay, we got
keep
three.
going down the list. Yeah.
I bet you a fourth is hard to come up with. Like Matthew Stafford is faster than Cam Ward, even at his age. And Matthew Stafford's not, fooling anybody. He's not gonna sign up for an Olympic sprinting team. But Cam Ward's certainly still capable of getting 4 or 5 and here and there, just sneaking through. And when especially you see man coverage and it's like everybody's got their backs turned, just go take it. I feel like with Malik Willis, and totally different situation, but I feel like every time he saw man, he was like, bye.
Yeah.
So you just have to, situation. I think discernment's a great word. Situationally, know when to go. And again, you don't want to take away some of these plays from him where it's especially as building chemistry with the receivers and you scramble. There are some Mahomes to that. Some of those plays are a little bit Mahomes-like where it's like, oh, left and now right. And then he goes up. I mean, look at the Brock Purdy TD that he had last night. That was insane. Those plays are awesome, and they can be so frustrating for a defense. But you also have to mix in a little bit of, I am going to go take this 5-6 yards on you too. You have to have that as a threat.
615-737-1025, our phone number. More on Cam Ward's performance against the Saints yesterday coming up next. Take your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tonight, Vanderbilt men's basketball takes on New Haven at Memorial Gym with 5 o'clock tip-off pregame at 4:30 on 94.9 The Fan. And MTSU basketball tonight on 93.3. They're taking on Houston at 7 o'clock. Coverage available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at TotallyHitsNashville.com. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
How do you assess this team in terms of growth from the beginning of the season to now, in your estimation?
The growth's been, terrific, especially from, I'll say, just a young guy standpoint. The rookies, whether it's Femi, who unfortunately got hurt early, just him, I'll say him seeing the field through film instead of actually being out there. I think that's the biggest, help that a rookie can get. And then obviously with Chim being a Pro Bowler, Elliott Gunner. I think just the rookie class will continue to get better, leaning on the vets especially vets like Cody, Jeff, just to continue to pick us up. So, I'm looking forward to continue those relationships with those guys.
That's Cam Ward after the game yesterday. Saints win 34-26 against the Titans. Titans dropped to 3-13 on the season. Joe, a question from Ed on the text line that you wanted to get to, who said, truly hypothetical, but if this season played exactly like it has with Cam playing better and the team being competitive, what do you think the narrative around Brian Callahan would have been had he not been fired?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think especially like as of halftime yesterday, because they had been playing so much better and they were dominating this admittedly not good team, but still playing such better football. Now, I think the second half yesterday maybe changes it a little bit, but yeah, what if they had not moved on from Brian Callahan and everything that we are seeing, that we have seen since he's been fired, happened exactly as it was. Offensive line improvement. Now the Bill Callahan effect is we're finally seeing it. And Cam Ward's getting better. Okay, that's why Brian Callahan was brought in, right? To develop quarterbacks. Would we be sitting here talking about just a lame duck situation? Like you can't keep a coach who has that kind of record in 2 years, or would there be a healthy and lively debate about him in 2026 versus going into the coaching cycle again? I don't know. What do you think? I really don't know.
Well, I mean, the interesting part of this is they have gotten better since Brian Callahan's out the door, and the offensive line has gotten better since Bill Callahan's out the door.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Right.
cool. What does that mean? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I still think, like, go back to the beginning of this year, because the other part of this is, I don't know, were there any more just total mystifying game management mishaps that would have taken place between now and then too? Because it was, yes, the record was a big part of it. Cam Ward not showing the progress that you wanted to see was a big part of it, obviously, earlier this year too. But I mean, look, the one elbow equals 2 feet, some of the decisions on fourth down, the decision in the Denver game of, well, we got the ball in our own 3. Let's start to be aggressive against this defense. Like, some of it was like just self-inflicted stuff from Brian Callahan. So I guess it's hard for me to know without knowing whether or not there would have been any more of that stuff, because that, to me, from a perception standpoint with Callahan this year, I think was as damaging as anything early in the year. Some of the either not knowing the rules or, hey, I made the decision to get rid of take play calling away from myself. There was just so much going on beyond the win-loss stuff with the record being what it was that contributed to, I think, his perception earlier this year. So my answer, that's a long way of me saying I still think we'd probably be focusing in pretty heavily on Brian Callahan being fired and moving on and finding a new coach. But I don't know, like it would at least been more of an interesting conversation than it looked like it was going to be had they played that process out earlier this year.
Yeah, I guess in that hypothetical, you wouldn't have more of that stuff, but you'd still have that as a memory. Like, man, remember this though? I guess you would though have some of these situations where McCoy is like, 4th and 1 at the opposing 23, let's punt. You'd have some of those that Cam Ward yelling at the like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So are
you trying to tell me that Mike McCoy should be given consideration for the job?
Well, no. Now, I think we even said last week, like Mike McCoy is at least it's like it's not a crime to give him an interview. like it felt like it might have been a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I do feel like maybe yesterday is a reminder. I don't think that there's a serious consideration there.
No.
I really don't.
I don't either.
And I can't sit here and pretend to be in Amy Adams Strunk's head, but I also, the front office here is they've been. I mean, they've obviously been all over the place. There's some reporting on different candidates they've looked at. And Mike McCoy was not going to be seriously considered. But yeah, if it was Callahan, I think some people would at least be arguing like, wait a minute, this team's terrible. We know it's terrible. The roster's terrible. And there are improvement. There is improvement in some of the key areas where you have to see improvement. Why does that not count in his favor?
I mean, the offense. Sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the offense looks better, right?
Yeah.
Overall,
yes.
Overall, the offense looks better. They're putting up points. They're moving the ball. It looks way more like a professional offense. And they're using the receivers like actual wide receivers. DK is running routes. He's not just running bubble screens.
Right.
They're running the ball and not just like these weird bubble screens with the weird screens with Spears and Pollard. I don't know. There was a disconnect with Brian Callahan about trying to get his players to do offensively what he's coaching them to do. He couldn't make it happen. So
yeah, no, that's fair.
Obviously, something's changed.
I think that's totally fair. Well, and it goes back to the progress conversation with Ward. Like in total, the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, there's clearly been progress there, right? Like he's made some progress. Now, the second half yesterday wasn't very good from Cam Ward. So it's not like it's been just straight linear progress. But as a whole, I think you'd be hard-pressed not to see that he has gotten better over the last few weeks, and that has coincided with the offense getting better. So what does that mean about how he's been coached coming down the stretch here?
I would make the case, that Bo Hardegree has done some good things.
Yep.
To Ian's point, like you have to give him. I think he's definitely done some good things as a play caller. And I guess should we give some credit to Nick Holtz? He is still here. He is here as the offensive coordinator.
He's not calling plays, which is fine, but he is still there.
No one wants to give him credit, which is fine. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe give him a little.
So I think in this conversation, we've circled back from the hypothetical of Brian Callahan and how it would feel if it was still here of, wow, they sure are doing a much better job since Brian Callahan's out of there.
Yeah.
I just don't think I'm not sure we talk about much of the turnaround of Callahan. We're still here because I'm not sure there would be much of one.
Brian, sorry.
Yeah. Now, not to defend him or anything like that, but like Cam Ward also, again, just like players improving, that is part of this. And so some of this, I think you do just look at Cam and probably say he's figured some things out. One thing they said in the broadcast, which I think probably is a little bit overlooked in our discussion about the offensive line improving, is his improvement at detecting things pre-snap and calling the right protections.
Yes.
Like, that's a huge part of being a quarterback in this league. And so I'd be willing to, I'd love to see an internal analysis of, pass pro and how much it has been aided by him diagnosing things quickly and correctly, as opposed to, the first several weeks of the season.
Well, we've had a lot of people trying to draw the direct comparison today between Ward and Shuck. And I understand that because, you're talking about two rookies, and I get it. Your rookie was taken number 1 overall. As I've said, I do think the direct comparison's a tough thing to do in that game yesterday when you see, number one, who Cam Ward is throwing the ball to and who Tyler Shuck is throwing the ball to, and then number 2, who they're throwing the ball against. I mean, I could line up the members of the Titans secondary yesterday in front of most people listening right now, and nobody would have any idea who they are, with the exception of like a Monty Hooker back there. That's it.
No doubt. And the reality of that situation, I think, really hit home in the second half yesterday. The Saints just went up and down the field on that secondary. And if you're not getting quick pressure, and look, I do think the loss of Arden Key hurt the Titans, and certainly not making an excuse, an Arden Key related excuse, but that secondary it's guys who should not be starting NFL games. And you saw that in the tackling. They had the one lucky recovery because the Saints couldn't recover their own fumble in the end zone, and it squirted backward. But Like the Saints just completely shredded that defense in the second half, and a lot of it is a secondary of people who shouldn't be on the field.
Oh, and by the way, the Saints, even prior to yesterday, the Saints are giving up 180 yards per game through the air. It's fifth best in the league. Like, they're pretty good against the pass in the league. So, like, again, I don't know if we could overstate that. What the defense the Titans threw out there yesterday in the secondary versus what Cam Ward was looking at with the Saints, two very different things yesterday.
Yeah, and these things, and then of course Tyler Shuck has a legit number one receiver, really, in Chris Olave. So those are important factors to consider if you want to compare these quarterbacks.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Final segment of the day coming up next. Saints win 34-26 against the Titans. We'll take your final thoughts on that and the weekend that was in the NFL. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. The number 14 Vanderbilt Commodores taking on number 23 Iowa this Wednesday in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Pregame at 9:30 on 94.9 The Fan with kickoff at 11 a.m. It is bowl season here on 102.5 The Game. The Game in Nashville Sports Network, your home for college football bowl games, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Twin Peaks. Today on Sports Talk 8:30, starting at 1 o'clock, it's Georgia Southern taking on Appalachian State in the Birmingham Bowl. For a list of games carried on the Game Nashville Sports Network, visit thegamenashville.com/bowl games. College football game of the week, number 10 Miami, number 2 Ohio State in the college football playoff. All that action on 102.5 The Game Thursday night at 6:30. Coverage presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and available on the Game Nashville app. So a very busy week of college football here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Joe, final thoughts here from the game yesterday. 34-26, Titans lose to the Saints. So now we know it's either going to be 3-14 for the second year in a row, or 4-13 with an upset win against the Jags to close things out for the season for the Tennessee Titans. I mentioned it earlier. I know people are concerned about the draft positioning. Titans, according to Tankathon.com, now number 4 on the board. The Raiders and the Giants played just a doozy yesterday. Raiders did a nice job of not showing up to a professional football game. They're going to get the number 1 overall pick. They're at 2-14. They've lost 10 in a row. The Giants, the Jets, the Titans, the Cardinals, all at 3-13. Cleveland, big win yesterday for them against Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get to 4-12. So right now, Titans sitting at the number 4 spot. Joe Rexrode.
So what is the best case scenario draft pick wise for the Titans? I don't like their chances. I'm going to tell you right now at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is they
need to win. Yes.
They need to win.
Yeah, they got to win
to maintain winning the division. I don't like their chances. So what's the best case scenario for could the Titans get the number 2 pick?
They could get number 2. Yeah. I mean,
they can still get the number 2
So the
pick,
Giants play the Cowboys. So we'll see what that looks like. The Jets play the Bills. I mean, the Bills, I'd have to look at Buffalo's, like, what's at stake for Buffalo because they can't win the division anymore. So, could they be – I would assume it's either going to be the 5th spot or the 6th spot for the Bills. So, do they care about that? Like, are they going to rest Josh Allen the last week? I know that, it was a physical game that they played yesterday against the Eagles. James Cook got banged up a little bit in yesterday's game. So, is Buffalo resting people? Frankly, they may be able to rest people and still beat the New York Jets because, my God, are they terrible? And boy, did that turn into the easiest lock of maybe the year for me with the Patriots and the Jets over the weekend. Woo. But, technically, I think number 2 still on the board for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that is interesting because the Bills, Texans, and Chargers are all 11-5, all in. I think they're all in, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all in. So
just seeding. Yep.
What does it matter? It's like 5, 6, 7. So you're playing. I mean,
Bills will play the Patriots.
Even if you get the 5, you may be like, oh yeah, you get to play the AFC North champ. But if Baltimore wins at Pittsburgh and Lamar's back and stuff, I'm not relishing that game.
No,
at the 4. That's not like it's not like the NFC where everybody's like, please let me play the NFC South champion. I'd love to play them. So I don't know. I could actually see Buffalo sitting people for that one and just being like, you know what, just healthy. I'm still setting the line at Buffalo minus -8.5 with all their backups against that freaking team.
Let's hit our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Trey to the program. Trey, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Good, buddy.
Good, Trey.
Hey, I just want to say that Christmas came belated for the Saints yesterday because that game was gifted to them. How are you going to be up? They was up, 10 points or 13 points and totally lost the game in the second half. The Saints played the whole game in the second half. 300 yards total offense, over 300 yards total offense. That's what some teams get in the whole game. How can you lose the game? How can you let a team play a complete game in the second half and you just basically give the game away? That's crazy. And then Cam played good. Mike McCoy did a good job on that side. But what happened to the defense? You on a 53-man roster, which means you supposed to step up in crucial situations no matter who is hurt. And then Taylor Zarda, as soon as the game get ready to be done, that's what he complained about. Well, they just decapacitated with injuries. I don't want to hear that. You're on a 53-man roster. You should be able to play the game of football, not look like what you did yesterday. And that's a shame. And I hope they wake up today and look themselves in the mirror and say, I have failed the Tennessee Titans yesterday. They failed the team yesterday. How you going to let a team come back like that? That's absurdity. That's basically blasphemy. And I love y'all. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it.
Blasphemy.
Hope the game sounded good yesterday.
My goodness. Trey, get after him. I will say, again, let's go through the drives. Second half drives for the Saints. 9 plays, 74 yards, touchdown. 8 plays, 41 yards, field goal. 3 plays, 75 yards, should have been a touchdown, fumbled. 4 plays, 80 yards, touchdown. 4 plays, 64 yards, touchdown. I mean, it was a knife through hot butter.
Oh, yeah.
After again, doing nothing in the first half.
Joe, it seems the Phillip Rivers resurgence is now over for the Indianapolis Colts. Colts have been eliminated from the playoffs. Phillip Rivers played yesterday for the Colts. They lose the game. And it sounds like from the reports that Riley Leonard is going to start that last game. I guess so the Colts can see what they've got in Riley Leonard there. So 3 games for Phillip Rivers, and it looks like that's going to be all she wrote. He was asked yesterday about man, maybe want to give it a shot to come back. And he's like, nope, I'm good. That's it. All good. No regrets for Phillip Rivers, but I'm glad we got to see him play for 3 games. Would have been awesome if he was able to win a game, but looks like that's it for number 17.
Dadgummit! No regrets.
Yep. Not even a single letter.
That's right. That was awesome. That whole story is awesome. And did you see the play yesterday, by the way, where he just kind of like flipped the ball at Josh Hines Allen, and Josh Hines Allen acted like he got shot?
Yeah.
Rivers like, come on, man. Come on. That's too bad. It would have been cool to see him get a win. I would say he performed better than I ever would have guessed. Off the street, years later, having put on the grandpa bod and just to come out and play like that, pretty remarkable, man. Pretty cool story. I wonder if Colts fans are like, oh, good. Let's see what we have in Riley Leonard this week.
Well, they're already, penciling in that quarterback competition next year. Anthony Richardson to the wayside. Daniel Jones coming off the Achilles. Malik Willis coming in the building for Indianapolis.
Oh, my goodness. Would they actually, I'm going to be fascinated to see the market and the pursuit of Malik Willis. Like, would the Colts actually, I suppose with the Achilles, you can make with the Achilles, you got to, you got that would be, that's possible. That is possible. That's one of the teams where you'd have to think. I mean, Chris Ballard loves trying every possible solution at quarterback. So why wouldn't Malik Willis be one of his choices?
I was going to say, man, like they've literally like almost every possible thing. They brought in Wentz. They brought in Rivers twice now. I feel like Willis is the natural next progression there. And I'm sure Titans fans would love that, to see Willis quarterbacking the Colts.
Oh, yeah, because you know what he'll do to them if that's the case. Are we sure Matt Ryan's not coming out of the studio for another shot there?
I thought I saw a report he's joining front office somewhere.
He's going to be working for the Falcons, I think, getting in there at the front office.
Is he going front office?
I think so.
Falcons?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Chris. Hands off.
I mean, doesn't mean he can't do both, right? I mean, I'm sure Brady, people still think Brady's going to come out of retirement, play for the Raiders.
That's why he's wearing the glove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting that throwing hand ready to go out there.
I mean, is Chris Ballard familiar with a certain Hall of Famer named Dan Fouts? I'm just saying.
You think he's got a couple more snaps left in him?
Oh, he can still swing it out there, man. He can wing it around the field. Get my man Dan Fouts out there.
That's going to do it for us today here on the program. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and has a wonderful week this week heading into the new year. We'll be back tomorrow. Got a lot of college football to get into. Tennessee's in the Music City Bowl tomorrow, so we'll prepare you for that. Got Vanderbilt and Iowa coming up later this week, so a lot going on this week here in our city. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.